Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Roy's Tie-Dye Sci-Fi Corner. This is episode number 311, and we are doing a very special tribute episode for Brian Johnson today. And when I say good evening, actually, it's the afternoon here in New Jersey. But no matter where you're tuning in, whether it's in Europe or if it's overseas, in addition to Europe, or just even in the U.S., I want to welcome everyone to the show. We really thought it would be very nice and very special just to remember Brian. And this is going to be an atypical episode. And with that said, I just want to welcome first my very special co-host, my friend Warren Friedrich is here today, and he's going to be co-hosting with me as we remember Brian Johnson. And we're going to be inviting folks to come on to share stories as well. And I will put the link into the chat. And of course, the show being the show, having some technical issues. So I apologize that we're getting a little bit of a later start. But yeah. So, Warren, thank you for joining me today. Appreciate it.
Hi, Roy. Thanks very much for the invite for this very special episode. This is it was such tragic news to find out about Brian. And, you and I both having met Brian on a couple of occasions, I believe. It was, there are people on this earth that are just, when you say so kind and sincere and genuine, Brian was certainly one of those. And we're just also saddened, deeply, deeply saddened to hear of his tragic loss.
Yeah, no, definitely. And and ironically enough, it's because of Space 1999 that I think the main reason why both of us actually have had the opportunity to have met him and then to have gotten to know him. And ironically enough, it was 6 years ago today. It was July 12th of 2020 when I actually had him on the show, and he, talked about his career and everything. And it was a very, very special episode. And he was on for almost about 3 hours, but unfortunately, through the powers of the internet, now I'll leave it at that. The episode has been lost, and unfortunately, my backup I don't have because of a failure with the software that I was using. So I put it out there already that if there's anybody out there that happened to have recorded that, please just get in contact with me. But if not, that's okay, because you know what? There's so many folks out there that have interviewed Brian and have corresponded with him, and then of course just our memories. And that's what this is really about, is being able to share our memories, just talk about him, about his work, how it influenced us, and whether it be on an entertainment level, or there's a lot of folks out there that both you and I know, Warren, that were influenced professionally. And that in itself is very special. All the aspects of it is special. And it's just going to be wonderful to hear the different stories, and we'll go from there.
Mm-hmm. And just to keep things a little upbeat, Roy, episode 311, as we've both noted, very, very, what a huge coincidence. But I'll put it to you like this. I'll spin it to you in exactly this way, Roy, and you'll get the moment I say it. There's a logic to it somewhere, Roy. Right?
Well said. And between you and me, Warren, I did take a little bit of a liberty. Episode 310 will be this coming Friday. So I just kind of, but it was so close that I think about how, when we watch a lot of these shows, and there's the production order and then there's the aired order. So
well played.
So yeah, to keep it light. So there we go.
Yeah.
But with that, I want to welcome the viewers that are actually joining us today online. And again, like I said, I will be sharing the link, folks. So if you want to come on, we utilize StreamYard. It is web-based. So if you do have a camera, and if you've done this before, if you've been on any type of social media show, and this show, of course, you're welcome to come on and just share some stories for a few minutes, and we'll be very happy to have you on. But first, I'm going to do the go through the comments. I see Chris is joining us from Kentucky. Welcome, Chris. Great seeing you out there.
Hi, Chris.
And Jenny's joining us from Australia. Hi, Jenny.
4 a.m. Jenny.
Yeah.
Jenny.
Actually, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's actually 8 a.m. there right now.
Could be.
Yeah. I think she's 16 hours ahead of us. Let me know, Jenny. I think that's where we're at. Chris is saying, love Brian's work on Thunderbirds, 2001 Space Odyssey, 1999, The Day After Tomorrow, Into Infinity, Alien, and Aliens. Yeah, absolutely, Chris. Very, very
What true. A resume.
Absolutely. Shari's joining us. Hi, hun. She's walking right now. May's joining us from Canada. Welcome, May. And I also see David is out there too. David, welcome. He said, finally found the podcast. Hello, everyone. And Randy's joining us from Wisconsin. Welcome, Randy. He said, good afternoon. Roy's technical difficulties, sci-fi. Yeah, tell me about it. And I actually am still having technical difficulties as I'm trying to hit the comments, so I apologize that too. Andy Tucker, welcome, Andy, joining us from California. Randy's saying, that's why you should join the show live. Yeah, exactly. Jeff is out there. Jeff Rubel, welcome, Jeff, joining us from Utah. And Lou is also joining us from Rhode Island. Hey, Lou, saying hello. Hey, Deborah. Deborah's joining us from Lopakong, New Jersey. Welcome, Deborah. Martin is joining us from New York. Welcome.
Hey, Martin.
And I see Lewis is also joining us from New York. Welcome, Lewis. And Stephen Reader is out there. Reader's out there. Sorry, Stephen. As everyone knows, I botch names on this show. My apologies. And Stephen is joining us from California. Welcome, Stephen. And Jenny said up 6:15 a.m. So you know what, Warren? It's right in the middle. I said 8, you said 4. Yeah. So there's the compromise.
That's the difference. Yeah.
And Lewis is saying Brian was the first to inspire me to get into special effects. Wow, that's awesome. That's
nice, Lewis.
Very nice. Oh, and Chris. Welcome, Chris.
Trice.
Great to see you out there.
Man, the myth, the legend.
Absolutely. And then Don is out there joining us from Delaware. Welcome, Don.
Hello, Don.
So anyway, yes, I'm going to try to put the link into the comments section, and just bear with me, folks, while I try to obtain and do this. And then I'm going to welcome you on. So I am putting this out there. So what I'd like to do is, if you do want to come on, we'll do this one at a time, because I think it'll be easier in that sense. But just bear with me one moment. Like I said, I'm up against my computer. It's fighting me today.
No problem, Roy. You work away there. I'll just follow up. Randy's saying I dreamed of making sci-fi models during that era. Chris is chiming in from less than a mile where Thunderbirds was made. That's kind of very cool, Chris. Oh, and there's the link. Roy, you got it.
Got it. Thank you, and thanks for
like
doing that one.
And Claudia's out there.
Hey, Claudia. Thanks for joining us.
Fly like an eagle, Brian. Very nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Nope.
And Jeff, it's funny. Jeff, you were on our brains right before we went live. So I was just going to chime in and say, yeah, we'll be in touch very soon. The Alpha building is about ready to go. I know don't worry, my friend. And it's funny that Chris is out there as well. I think I mentioned this to Chris. So very exciting that we're going to be able to use one of the original moon-based buildings.
Now, how cool is that? That's very, very cool.
And again, you know what, all in honor of all the work that Brian did, and the entire team.
Absolutely. Yeah. Everyone that, and Chris has, pointed that out in the past too. I mean, their work has just been amazing, and so very special. So Warren, let me ask you in regards to, I'll start with you as far as your remembrances of Brian, and, was it Space 1999 that really brought him into focus with you first, or any other?
Oh, yes, because I was very young. So I think that was my first exposure to Brian and his work. But it was only just the beginning for me, because then, in subsequent years, of course, very near and dear to me was the first Alien movie that he worked on, and The Empire Strikes Back, of course. And then, as I got older, I went back and reviewed things like 2001, and saw the impetus of where everything came from, right? And I think, we'll get into it, Roy, for sure. But it goes without saying that we should definitely focus on that wonderful spacecraft that he helped design, just sitting next to me here on that side. and just it's remarkable how we've said this, we've discussed this on prior segments, on how enduring that Eagle spacecraft is, and how he was synonymous with the Eagle, because it was his design primarily, and it went on to live in infamy.
Absolutely. Yeah. For me, I mean, there's no ship quite like it. In regards to ships in science fiction, the Eagle is at the top of my list, along with the Enterprise, and also, believe it or not, the Jupiter 2 from Lost in Space. But there's always been something very special about the Eagle that, I don't know, it just resonates to this day. And I don't know, there's something that just draws you in. There's a fascination about it. And and of course, there is Lou Place's
original fan build 44. That is a thing of beauty right there.
Sure is. Yep. And and look what's happened with Zyka. I mean, that's what just came out. I mean, and I know that for whatever reason, it was not the Mattel Eagle was not available back in 1976, and in the UK,
nor in Canada,
and Canada as well. And I mean, Christmas of 1976 was such a special Christmas on so many levels because of having that Mattel Eagle, and it just was the play set to have. But putting that aside, just remembering the model Eagle, I mean, the 12-inch that we had, back in the day from MPC, and again, Brian's legacy. I mean, it's such an inspiration, and it just has resonated 50 plus years with us. And obviously we're talking about it now, we're talking about him, and just such a nice person just to converse with, and just so low key too in regards to his work.
He was so humble, just
very
so
humble. Yes, that's the word.
Just an amazing man, and just so grateful. I mean, on the times that I saw him in those convention experience, he was just so happy to be here and meet the fans and interact with people, and hear their stories of how his work went on to inspire them. Just like, certain people are already saying in the chat today that his work really, really did set the bar, and a lot of people drew inspiration from that.
Yeah. Now, mentioning 2001 Space Odyssey, were you a fan of that film?
Yeah, like I said, I was about 5 when space came on. So I'd say I was probably in my early teens when I first discovered 2001,
Sure.
Right? And it was on, later on in home video and things like that. I mean, and it's strange. I mean, I really enjoyed it right off the bat. I mean, a lot of people, said it was, especially because, all the newer stuff had come out, like Star Wars and things like that. But to go back at that time and watch something that was so paced so differently, right? And almost like 1999 Year One was very different from everything else that was out there and was commercial, right?
Right.
So yeah, no, I enjoyed it. It's today, to this day, the thing that sticks in my mind are the visuals, right? Of that beautiful shot, slow moving shot of the Discovery, as it comes into frame, and it just seems to go on forever. But it's shots like that I think even inspired the Star Wars team with the opening Star Destroyer, and of course we can even go further down the rabbit hole and say that was inspired by the shot in War Games that we're all familiar with, Roy, right?
Absolutely. So true.
But the first time, I think, just to circle back to your question real quick, the first time I met Brian was in Peterborough in 2014.
Yeah.
And I think that would have been your first opportunity as well.
Yes, it was. That's when I first met him in person. Yeah.
And I just, it's just a funny little aside, but the first time ever actually met him, I was in the dealer's room, the vendor room, if you will,
Yep.
and there was a few of us in there, and we were just breaking for lunch. So Andy Starks, a wonderful event coordinator, had worked out this schedule. We were going to break for lunch for an hour, and so I was just sort of shuffling everybody out, and I had turned away for a second, and then in comes Brian Johnson, and I didn't even recognize him at first or know who it. And I was like, no, sorry, we're closing down. Sorry, you can't come in. And I was like, oh my God, it's Brian Johnson, and I was like, oh. I'm so sorry. Please come in and have a look around. It's so nice to meet you. he was chuckling, but yeah, it's just
That's funny.
That's the way it works.
No, I actually had never heard that story from you. That's pretty good. Yeah, actually, that was the first time I met him at that event, and I was very nervous, and I was trying to go through my archives because I was trying to find out if I had taken a photo with him or not, and I went up to him. I definitely got it. I did the fan, I was like the fanboy, right? Got the autograph and everything. And, not sure what to say, but, was trying to pretty much just say how much I enjoyed his work and how much I appreciated him. And one of the questions I asked him is in regards to the Eagles, I said, about which incarnation, was his favorite. And mine has always been Eagle 4 from the Metamorph, with the booster units and the lab pod. And he had a photo of it, and he pointed to it and he said that one. So I was I felt that connection with that, especially when he said that. And that just really put a big smile on my face. But and then, talking, having him eventually, like I said, I had him on the show and everything. And then just, like many of us, corresponding with him here and there, it was just really, really nice. And it's, it's very special. And the London event that you organized, I mean, back in 24 with, everything that was done with that and everything. And I sadly didn't get a chance to really talk to him. It was more in passing, and he saw me, everybody remembers how, just zooming by and everything. And then he was just like, Roy. And I said, Brian.
Out to you. Yeah.
But
yeah. So, and he remembered you after all those years. Well, and of course he was on your show, so of course he would.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. Just want to catch up on some of the comments. David's commenting saying, if there's one thing people will remember Space 1999 for is the special effects in the Eagle spacecraft, Brian's legacy to sci-fi that will stand forever. Absolutely, David. Martin said the picture of the Eagle on the cover of the first book, Breakaway UK edition, got me hooked on the show. I know exactly which photo you're talking about too, Martin. Randy said, I have a signed Colin Cantwell photo of the Star Wars ship that looked a little too much like the Eagle.
Oh, yeah, the blockade runner. That's a story in and of itself, Roy.
Absolutely, yeah. Brian is joining us, Brian Jackson. Welcome, Brian. Great to see you out there. Chris commented, I am a huge fan of 2001: A Space Odyssey and 2010. Mm-hmm. Brian did an excellent job with the special effects work on Stanley Kubrick's epic sci-fi classic with Douglas Trumbull and Wally Beavers. Absolutely. And Martin said the pass-by shot was also used in Spaceballs.
Oh, of course.
I totally forgot that, Martin.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah. I mean, it's so funny, too, because a lot, there's always the comparison about, Star Wars and Star Trek and Space 1999. But when you're watching that shot in which you referenced, Warren, in War Games, where that bomber is just it just keeps going and going and going and going. And it's like, oh my God, if that's not a nod to that episode in Star Wars, right?
Yeah. Well, and you know what, Roy, the other thing I'll just say about that is that, regardless of who borrowed from who or who inspired who, the fact that Brian did it on a TV scale and a TV budget, right?
Absolutely.
Which everything else was motion picture budget, right? And he pulled it off. It was truly remarkable.
No, it sure was. Chris also commented, he said, hang on one second. Again, I'm having problems here with the comments here. Brian also did some of the special effects work on Moon 02, The Medusa Touch, Revenge of the Pink Panther, and Spies Like Us. And also some of the special effects work. Yeah, Dragonheart and Space Truckers. I did not realize about Dragonheart. In fact, like I was saying, when he was on the show, he had talked about that as well, too. But So anyway, I'm just we'll circle back real quick. I just want to see if there's anybody that wants to come on. I'm not seeing anybody, clicking into the link. So I want to make sure that everybody did see the link. I know sometimes it can be lost in the shuffle, especially of the comments. So if you do want to come on the screen and just share some memories with us in person on live, don't be shy. And I put it out there again. So just please feel free to do that. Chris just said Lucas has publicly acknowledged he stole a shot from 1999.
1999. I thought that was the case. Yeah.
Yeah. Sherry's asking, did I ever meet him at the conventions? No, hon. He was not. He actually joined us.
Didn't he do
virtually?
It virtually? Yeah.
Yes, in Bethlehem, and that was in 2019. But no, not in person. David said Brian's importance on 1999 grew by year 2. His credits started appearing during the episode intro credits and not hidden at the end of the show.
Absolutely. Yeah. Good point, David. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, he told the story too that George Lucas had approached him about doing Star Wars, and he said literally the day before he had signed the contract to do the year 2. So thankfully, we did not lose him for Star Wars. And of course, as we all know, he went on to do Empire Strikes Back, and him and his team, Academy Award winners in regards to the special effects of that.
Yeah. And thank goodness 1999 fans were able to retain him, because some of his best work was in year 2.
Absolutely. And just like Barry Gray, he made it big. Randy said, not sure if we have anything to add to this already quality conversation. Oh, there's always stuff to add, Randy. Don't be shy.
Come on, Randy. Steven's out there too. Steven, you can come on.
Steven said the first time I met Brian was at a con in Blackpool in 2015. We had a great conversation and even invited me to sit behind the table with him.
Wow.
Nice.
Crazy cool. Yeah, he was definitely, he was amping up his peak run there, for a number of years, right? He was the go-to. And I think that started with Space, definitely, right? He got his feet wet with 2001, but then by the time Space rolled around and finished its production run, it's just like, yeah, he was in hot demand for sure for all these other productions.
Absolutely. Hold on one second. My screen, I am having so many problems with the computer today. Okay, there we go.
Okay.
Now, Warren, did you now we didn't even talk about the day after tomorrow, because now for that he was special effects designer. Were you a fan of that movie?
Strangely, the first time I saw it, I think, was only about 10 years ago.
Okay.
So it was a curiosity piece for sure, right? To because I've been so familiar with the series for so many years, but it's an interesting link in the chain visually on so many levels between year 1 and year 2, right? I mean, aside from the fact that Nick Tate's in it and Brian Johnson and Joanna
Durham. Yep.
Durham. I almost said Lumley. But it's just all the connections with the set pieces. I mean, all those famous computer panels that ended up in Command Center in year 2, right? Those were all built for that production originally. And the music being by
Derek Wadsworth.
Yep. Wadsworth. I'm sorry, I just blanked for a minute there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So there was lots of DNA. I'll say, in particular with year 2, and I enjoyed it. Yeah, I thought it was, for what it was at the time, and it was supposed to be, I believe, a backdoor pilot of some kind. Was it not?
Sure. Yeah, it was. Yeah. It was
So-
it was an educational film that TV movie that was being done. It was televised on NBC in the States.
That's right.
Yeah, and it was, to your point about that. And then the interesting part, what I didn't, kind of. Hey, we always digress on the show, but here we go. With the set of that, which you said a lot of those components were used in Command Center, the overall cockpit of that was from the command module set from Dragon's Domain.
Dragon's Domain and Voyager's Return. Was it in?
There might have been components
The
of that.
pilot section, I believe, was originally from Voyager's
Voyager's
Return.
Return.
It was
Yeah.
repurposed for Dragon's Domain,
Yeah.
right, with the angled consoles
Yeah.
above. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right.
And then also Brian Blessed was in the episode too, which we didn't mention. Yeah. Yeah. Mentor.
Yeah, yeah, and Cabot Roland, and
Roland.
boy, what a presence, eh?
Oh, very, very much so. Now, one of the things, and this is something I would like to ask Chris about too, is that now looking back at the work that Brian did, his first thing that was uncredited but was noted was he did Quartermass back in 1957, special effects assistant for that. Kiss of the Vampire in 1963, also special effects assistant, and then he went on to do Thunderbirds, and that was in 65 to 66. And then, of course, we talked about 2001 Space Odyssey and about his work on that. So he really worked his way through and then really became established, of course, and known very strongly, prominently, and to the point that Randy made about, or actually not Randy, it was, I think maybe it was David, about being in the opening credits in year 2 as opposed to the year 1. But I'll tell you though, always found him in those year 1 credits. Always loved those year 1 end credits as well too.
Yeah, no, for sure. So he worked on Thunderbirds, and that just struck a chord, something in my mind that I'd heard. I think it was back around the time of Peterborough when we were all together and hanging out, or maybe sitting around one evening that. Or maybe he even told the story. Maybe Brian told the story, but I'd heard that he actually had a falling out with Jerry Anderson between his work on some of the Super Mario Nation series, probably Thunderbirds, and his time on space. And I'm not sure how much truth there is to that, but apparently it was Jerry. I don't know what it was over, but Jerry's comment was all, you darn guy, I'll make sure you never work in this industry again, and things like that. And there was this big argument, but then here it was a few years later, Jerry came back to Brian and approached him about doing space.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So who knows for sure, but yeah, that just, it might have been a little bit of myth and urban legend, who knows, but behind the scenes, yeah.
Wow. I hadn't heard that, but you know what? Yeah, absolutely. You never know. In regards to, so much time has passed and there's been so many things that have happened, right? And isn't it amazing how things can change too? I mean, it's like, 1 minute you're in one scenario, and then the next minute, things have totally changed, and then you're working together. And
the industry is just it's like that. It's very cutthroat, but then it's just like, after it's like family, right? I mean, you could have a big blow up with a family member, right? Say, I'm never going to talk to you again. But then years later, it's like, well, you're family, right? And Jerry would have known that Brian was one of the best in the industry, and he wasn't going anywhere. And Jerry was maybe, pushing his weight around a little too much and realized, or had to backpedal down the road that, okay, you're a pretty good kid. Come on back and let's do space together. Who knows?
Stephen commented, he said, whoops, we talked about space truckers, and he rolled his eyes about the director wanting him to blow up everyone's head with the laugh. Oh, wow. That must have been interesting. Now, Chris also commented, I threw it up before, he said the Trollingberg Terror with Les Bowie. And then he also said The Day the Earth Caught Fire, too, again with Les Bowie. Now, I had never seen those. David said, by some odd coincidence, I saw The Day After Tomorrow when it first aired on NBC as an after-school special. It aired once, and it seemed to have never disappeared. Lewis said, one of the things that inspired me about Brian is the way he worked his way up the ladder to get where he was.
Exactly, Lewis. Yeah. It's it's never an easy climb, but as long as you, if you're dedicated, if you're passionate, if you had good work ethic, and had the ability to manage others, right? I think that was one of Brian's gifts. It was the team that he brought together was so specially crafted in their own unique ways, but so he would let them do their thing and give them the freedom and flexibility, but still maintain an overall a sense of control.
Yeah, and in regards to The Empire Strikes Back, he was listed as the special effects supervisor. I mean, I just think of the effects in that movie; they were incredible. I remember seeing the preview for that movie in the movie theater, because that film came out back in 1980, and just being blown away. I mean, everybody was just in awe of Star Wars, right? But then when it came time for Empire Strikes Back, it was truly, truly amazing.
Well, it's almost like I mean, and when you look at Brian's career, when you look at the work that was done by, the early seeds of ILM in California, right? So it was basically John Dykstra and his team that George hired to do Star Wars, right? After Brian had to turn it down. The work they did was amazing, but in my mind, when I look back on it now, I mean, it was probably on par with what Brian had already been doing 2 or 3 years previous, right? His work on space, right? It was it was impressive. It was maybe a little faster paced, right? But it was, I'm going to call it on par with the work that Brian did, or had been doing, the previous 2 or 3 years. But now, having said that, when Brian got around to Empire, Brian, I think in his own mind, took it upon himself to say, okay, what can we do to really revolutionize, right? And it's almost like he maybe wanted to try and one up his own work, right? He wanted to raise the bar, if you will. And yeah, so when Star Wars came out, it was so fluid and kinetic and crazy, like we had just never seen before, right?
Yeah.
Because some of those shots in Star Wars, they're pretty grassroots. I mean, when you see a couple of X-Wings or a couple of TIE fighters, it's like they're basically static and they're not really moving and panning and tilting like in Empire, right? And right. when that asteroid field sequence, it just like melted everybody's brain back in 1980, right?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Oh, and Chris is bringing some. Yeah, okay. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it. He said Brian was unhappy about increasing responsibility with no pay increase. Knowing he was unhappy, Derek Meddings put Brian forward to Kubrick for 2001. When Brian put his notice in, Brian suddenly found 3 times the money, but it was too late. That's when Jerry shouted out, "You'll never work in the industry again." Jump forward when Derek couldn't do Space 1999 because he was now attached to the Bond movies. Brian was forgiven by Jerry and offered the role. Thank you for clarifying.
That's fantastic, Chris. Yeah, I figured somebody out there would have the proper context there.
Yeah, and I was thinking too it would be Chris. So thank you for sharing everything, Chris, and making this, putting us on the right line. And
absolutely, and because the other thing, I have a question, and Chris, we could talk later about it. But you see, in all of that, Brian never worked on UFO. I don't believe that was all Derek Meddings. I believe. Yeah,
you're right. Yeah. Daryl just joined us. Hey, Daryl, thanks for joining us. Welcome.
Daryl who? I don't know any Daryls out there.
Yeah. And Brian is commenting. He said someone was selling some of the storyboard effects on eBay a few years ago from Space 99 year 2. Could have been the Dorcons, not too sure. I got in touch with the seller just to find out if they were genuine. The seller got straight back to me and said it was Brian Johnson. You could knock me down with a feather. He was absolutely lovely. And we talked about Space 1999, Jerry Anderson, and he was going to leave. And he said he had to go into his office and Jerry was sitting there. Oh, wow. David also commented, said, when the Empire Strikes Back first ran, my cousin and I were looking out for the Caldorian ships and Dorcon cruisers, but alas, that did not happen. Lots of laughs. However, he upped the bar with the asteroids, which improved on the tinfoil variety of the Mark of Archonons. And Chris said, correct.
And I've got some storyboards right here.
Oh, very nice.
And it was actually Chris Trice. So we gave a couple of these away as a bonus or a raffle before Christmas. And I got these from Jim Winch.
Yep.
And he got them from Brian directly. But Chris corrected me, and because there's a couple of shots, you can even see some shots of Brian at Bray back in 75, 76, working in front of a big wall of these little storyboards. But apparently Brian did not draw them. So it was another fellow that actually drew them, and maybe he colored them or something, but they weren't actually, but they were certainly used by Brian and the production team. Like they're authentic on that level, but
very cool.
I think they were drawn and colored by somebody else.
Okay. No, thanks for bringing those up on.
Yeah, I just had them right there.
Appreciate it. I was trying to magnify on you, and instead I magnified on myself. That was not my intent.
That's okay.
But I never do that with the StreamYard. Daryl said lots of laughs. No, very cool. Let me see here. Just trying to make sure I caught up on everybody, and I believe I have. Now, Lewis, what do you do in the? Lewis was saying he does work in the industry as well.
Visual effects as well.
Yeah, very cool. So I just want to make sure we got everybody, and it looks like we did. So,
we got to get some guests on here, Roy.
I know everybody's being gun shy today.
Chris, David, Brian, Daryl, come on. Feel free to click that link and pop on. Join us and tell us your memories and recollection of Brian Johnson.
Yeah, on camera. Oh boy! Now the other movie, while we're waiting for them to debate it over, we were talking about aliens. Oh my goodness!
Wow. Oh, just yeah. Very near and dear to me. I saw the first Alien movie on my 10th birthday. I'll never forget it.
Scarf for Life, Warren.
Yeah, basically.
Chris said Brian drew some of the storyboards, but they were mostly done by
Cyril Forster. Yeah, Foster. Yeah.
Yep. The swirling galaxy at the end of Empire was directly Brian Johnson. It's simply glass beads on a rotating black velvet table. Simply, wow. I love the way you say simply. It's just amazing and I'm going to incorporate all of you into that work in special effects. It's just amazing the work that can be done and the magic that comes through. And when we are to be entertained and we just are blown away. And that's why we're sitting here, we're talking about Brian right now and just about his work, what it has done to us over the past 50 plus years, but not to take away from other folks too. It's just, I don't know. It's just incredible. I mean, I don't know. I'm just in awe. Jeff Rubel commented, I don't mean to sound like denigrating Brian, but I've wondered what the deal was with those foil asteroids in Mark of Arcanon, which was on Pluto TV the other day. I mean, a few of the shots were pretty bad. I've always thought Brian had no time whatsoever to shoot that scene. Hey, you know what? Everybody has a, you know what? There's always the incredible, and then you're in order to have the incredible, there's always going to be something, it just didn't measure up. And that's,
Roy, we talked about this on our review of Mark of Arcanon with Kelly Fast.
Yep.
From NASA, and I sort of made the joke or the analogy that somewhere between 1975 and 79, when he was working on Empire, Brian finally learned the trick of using actual potatoes as asteroids, as opposed to what he did in Mark of Arcanon. You know what? But I think the other thing is, and I posed the question at the time, had anybody in film or TV history ever attempted an asteroid field before? And somebody in the comments had said yes.
Lost in Space actually did.
Lost in Space. Yeah. But it was basically whatever you designed hanging off a string for the asteroid, right? It was very, very basic, and it looked very, very cheesy. And I think what Brian was trying to do, because if you look at Mark of Arcanon, I think, and maybe Chris Trice would be able to verify this or not, but I think they turned the camera and they were dropping these things. So there was no strings, right? I think he was sort of almost trying to develop a more realistic way to do it, right? But ultimately. And you know what? I mean, maybe it wouldn't have even looked that bad, but it was the strange color that he used in those shots and the reflectivity. That's why everybody calls them tinfoil walls, right?
Yeah.
You know, even if they had toned that down, maybe it would have been a little more believable. Who knows?
Yeah. No, it's tough. And obviously, I mean, and that's Chris said yes, dropping the foil asteroids.
There we go. There we go. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. So it looks like Daryl is taking the giant step for mankind. So he's gonna join us. So Daryl, we will welcome you on for a few minutes. So it'll be good to see you, and then hopefully you will inspire others to come on as well. So I am going to open the bay doors, open the blast doors, open the blast doors. Hey Daryl,
I'm sat outside actually. Hi guys, you all right?
Hey.
good to see you.
Yeah. I've got my English shirt on tonight for obvious reasons. We won't go there, but yeah. So yeah, sorry guys, I've been a bit busy. Got to you late tonight, so yeah, it sounds like you've had plenty joining in and all them sorts of things.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no worries. Thanks
but,
for popping on just
yeah,
for a couple of minutes. We
it's
appreciate it.
still
Yeah.
it's still surreal that Bain's not with us, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
the thing at the moment. It's yeah. It's, I mean, the first chance to meet Bain, nobody ever thought we'd ever see him. Was at Cosford one.
It was later on as well. Like he
Yeah, after that, I
didn't
mean,
do any
it was
appearances.
very. The guys will tell you. I mean, Cosford one, we were underneath a Vulcan bomber. We've got the display out. Chris King had put the show on, and I think it was Karen that was there at Cosford, and she was joined to organising with Chris King, and I was sort of like I do, helping out in background, and uh, and then I think it was through Kevin because of Bain's love for RAF and his dad's. So Chris King said Bain's coming, so we knew Sylvia were coming and things like that. And you know, do you want Jobber looking after Bain if he comes? So we were sort of, wow, Bain's coming out. Bain's going to be there. That was a bit of a shock to us. But it then turned out that you know, the guys, I mean, that were one of the early shows. I mean, we had a full complement of everything. We had, you know, big Mark Shaw's pictures. We had, you know, Jim's moon buggy there that's now at Milton Keynes. We've got the command centre set under one at Wings at Vulcan Bomber. And then, anyway, as it transpired, that Chris rang me a few days earlier, you know, from saying we look after Brian, saying we're going to put him with Sylvia. Yeah. So you might not see him. So my very first meeting of Brian, me and Jim were setting Alpha up for display. And then all of a sudden I saw 3 pairs of feet as I'm looking down and Kevin saying, Daryl, can you look after Brian, please? Ben didn't know which way to take us, you know, and you know, we were new to it then and all of what we were doing, and ASA shows that followed and everything else. But we had a good show, but Ben didn't. I don't think he knew what to make of it. But Annie was sort of coaxing him, and then he wanted to come and sit with us. So we set up near where we were, give him a table, give him a chair, plonked him in. He plunked it. Well, we sort of plunked him on command center. We original Alpha at one side and Moon Buggy at the other. Yeah.
Very nice.
And then Annie proceeded to take him round and show him round, and you know, and he were mellowing in and sort of, you know, and then a bit later on, one of the best moments there really. Dave Sis were up at top. We original Eagle One on show at the top of the room.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A bit where the puppet cabinets were and things like that, all the original puppets. And Jim come up to me and he said, "Come on, we'll go and take Brian up to David, see Eagle One."
Yeah.
Well, I've never seen a guy turn white as quick in my life, because what happened was the minute we got there, Brian's face just lit up, and he went straight over to Eagle One. And there's pictures on my site. You know, I love the pictures because the way he looked at it, and then he just lifted. Well, David had just restored it.
Yeah.
So he basically just lifted it up in the air. He cupped under the top spine with his fingers on both ends. And Brian, David was sort of in disbelief, a little bit, and Jim. And Brian, it was just like he was seeing an old friend.
Yeah.
Eagle One with her, and he was just lifting it like he'd lifted it a million times before. So it was wonderful, wonderful.
What a special connection, and what a wonderful story to hear.
And I
Daryl,
think it was looking round and sounding out. Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say two things. Chris commented, and he said right before you started telling the story, he said, Daryl, wipe your camera lens because you're kind of film. There's like a film on there, just so you know. We can't see you clearly. And then he wrote, he's smiling when he said that.
That one.
Yeah. There you go. A little bit better. Yeah,
That's
there.
much better.
Much better.
I'm outside. I'm with my plants tonight. We just sat out having a chill pill.
Looks beautiful there. Really. Beautiful night.
It's I've just been. Anyway. I won't go into that on air. I have something to tell Chris, and I've been working hard all day like we do, and you know what I'm like. So yeah. What's Tracy saying? I'm on my small camera tonight. I missed what he said there.
Yeah, he said that's when he said wipe your camera lens, Daryl, and he put a smiley face with it. But no, it looks good now. We can see you. We can see you. Yeah. The other thing he commented, he said his Brian's funeral was on Thursday. It was a modest family affair, but the industry is planning a memorial service.
Oh, I'd love to. I'm sorry I missed it. I didn't know. I haven't got a guy's number directly, and I spoke to Pam Rose, and basically she told me that the funeral was last week. So yeah, I'm sad about that. I'd have got there certainly if I'd have known. But if there's a memorial service, then we'll do what we can for that. Yeah. And we've got to go down for things, and maybe don't be bothering. We'll talk about that another time. But there's things happening in the background, so I might be heading down that way soon anyway. So we'll see what goes. But many occasions, I mean, Brian, he even come out with Eagle 6 shows over at Squire, but again on mine, it was always fun to join in. There's a guy there dressed up as George Lucas, and a pretty good ringer for him, and pretty looked like him. And Brian just got up, and they were doing the pair meet again photographs and all this sort of stuff. So it was just fun to be around. There's a million one stories I can tell you. There's a million one stories I can't tell you. You
sure,
know what I mean?
No, I understand. I totally.
But I got the job of looking after him. I will let one little thing out. I mean, I always used to do this, and I used to love it really, because I have this thing about, when you're going out on shows, one of the first things you want is a cup of tea. Well, Brian loved his Earl Grey decaf. So I always made sure with a box of Earl Grey decaf with us, so at the very least, if the hotel had none, he could have a brew when he turned up, and them sorts of things. Yeah. But he loved the lads, and the lads, he joined us. The one guy with, there's so many. I mean, went down to Matt Irving's small space. We used to do that regular, and we took a friend down when Brian were down, and that were quite fun. So with Matt Irving, Matt had a fire pit, so we'd always get down on the Saturday night, and we'd get ready for the show on the Sunday, and then it was always sort of a Jacob join, bring some meat and a drink if you want. And Matt's daughter had just been second in for Sandra Bullock on Gravity. So she joined us that night.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden I've took Rick down. Sadly, he's not with us anymore. We're a trooping friend when we do our trooping. And he just said, Daryl, I've got to come down and see what you guys do. And I asked Andrew, funnily enough. And that was lovely of Andrew, because Andrew and everybody's like, we have to protect the stuff that we take out and everything. And Rick had always said, I wonder if I could try on an Alpha shirt. And again, like the lads, they never disappoint. Got down there, Andrew got an original Koenig out and said, here, Rick, try this on. Oh, wow. So that sort of led, so that was on the day, but when we're at the fire pit thing, so all of a sudden we've got Brian. So Brian's there, he's having a good chat with Matt, and then Matt's daughter turned up, and I'm sat here with Rick in between them all. And I just got up and left Rick to it. So he was sat with Matt, and he was sat with Brian, and he was sat with his daughter. And I thought, there's your weekend right there. Go and enjoy. And Brian, you know, again with Star Wars side, obviously, because we troop Star Wars and all that sort of thing. Yeah, he had to pinch his cell a couple of times, like our guys do sometimes, you know. But yeah, he was always generous. He was always generous with his time, and he was always happy to be around us. And he never wanted a fuss. You know, on occasion something might happen, but he'd never. He wouldn't want to make an issue of anything. You know, it was always play it down well and play it up, and yeah, that was fine.
Yeah, he was never full of himself. He never had an ego.
No, he used to call Slough Chocolate Factory. So Ben rung me up and he said, D, what are you doing at the minute? And I've been asked to go on Thunderbirds. I've been asked to do a bit of work on Thunderbirds. And I went down for a weekend or two. It was sort of at the end. And Ben says, will you go on? So I'm going there. So he says, oh, you want Chocolate Factory? And he said, I should be doing the thing with Kenny Baker at Pinewood. And I'm going to I'm taking Annie out to Aston Blumenthal's. And I want to pop in and see you. You know, and he did. We were down there, and then next news, I believe he bypassed a lot of people at front desk and come and open arms, and yeah, it was lovely, really. Yeah,
Wow.
he was just great. He was great with buying, and then they wanted to borrow the camera dolly, so we got him. You know, we had a talk with Brian, and they got to use his own camera dolly for the Thunderbird 65. So again, Brian being generous again. You know. Prized possession with that camera dolly.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah. But he you know, he used to tell us about all things. You know, he told us. I mean, the sort of one I could tell you. He did mention to me in Hilton when he was working on Empire, and I think they were on the Dagobah set, and it getting a bit stagnant, getting a bit past its usage, and all of a sudden, you know, and I don't know if I should tell this secret or not. I hope I'm not breaking copyrights. Anyway, the filming crew apparently, you know, they'll tell me if I get it wrong, but this is the way Brian sort of came across with it, that he said the gods were with me that day. He said, I don't know if this is going to burst bubbles. I don't know if I should tell this. It's the same with R2D2. It comes out the water. So apparently they've been using a lightweight R2 unit, and it were fired, but they had these latex skins over the cannon under the water.
Oh, okay.
And apparently it weren't going right. It were going everywhere by where it should do, and this, that, to the. And they got back for filming, and something along the lines of, they got down to not many of these skins. And Brian said, we've got to get this right. So they've gone back following morning, and apparently the lads had drawn a target on the wall. Somebody will tell me this is wrong, but this is how it came across the wall. So the effects lads have drawn a target on the wall. So where Y2 were going to land, and they'd only one or two of these skins. And then all of a sudden, George walked in with some people from over the water. And what are you doing today, Brian? He said, well, we're doing the shot with Y2 coming up, you know, and we're launching him and doing this up to the. And he said, devil the gods are with me. He said, the next one we fired, he said, all of a sudden we got a bullseye on the target. And he said, that's it, man. You know, so along them lines. So, yeah, he used to, and thing with Brian was, he used to just come out with him. You'd be just having a quiet moment or a conversation, and then, hey, and I'll tell you about this. And yeah.
And he'd hit you with a zinger. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Roy, there's a really nice comment that Chris Trice.
I know. I was letting Daryl tell the story.
Yeah.
I'm gonna interject though, but yeah, Chris
it's okay.
Put this up just a couple of minutes ago. He said Brian told the story that he came home one day and Annie was watching Space 1999. He mentioned he worked on it, and Annie declared it was one of her favorite shows. He knew they were getting married from that point. Excellent. I mean, that's
wonderful.
Yeah. What I do remember about something like that, and Chris will probably said, yeah. And if you remember, Chris, at that point, I don't think Brian had told Annie that he worked on Space 1999. So she only found out when his names were coming up on the credits at the end.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
And yeah, and this how we were. It's, you know, it's, you know, we have moments with Brian, but they're unforgettable moments, and the things that live with you, you know, they don't go away. I mean, like I say, around Cosford, Annie really led the way that show. It didn't. We think he didn't know what to make of us. He didn't know what to make of it. You know what I mean? And you know, and again, we're taking all the originals out, all the original props, models, costumes, everything like we do. So it was slowly he mellowed, and then all of a sudden he were looking at everything, talking to everyone. I have a famous moment from that show, and I've said it before, but one of my famous moments with Andre, because with two guys, with Andre coming over from Canada and with Mike from Australia. So the minute they flew in, I just said the wheels. You know, I was sort of in charge of looking after everybody in shows, and I said about them two, they've come furthest that the wheels this weekend. So we took them everywhere. We took them to Slough. We took them everywhere with us. But Ben, I said to Andre, "Come on, I'll take you down to the green room. We'll get you coffee." So we went down, and all of a sudden, Dee and Sylvia walked in, and Dee were on crutches. Sylvia were on crutches. She'd had an accident a couple of weeks before. And then Andre just went gaga. Favorite person. Mine went off the scale. Didn't know what to make of it. And then in 2 minutes, Brian walked in, and he's sort of talking to Sylvia. And Andre actually, his head left the building. He was, well, he couldn't talk. He was wowed. He was brilliant, you know. And the repercussions from that, he had his moment with Sylvia. He got a few words out. And he got a few words out with Brian. And that was a moment to live with him for his life. And he just said, I can't. My two most favourite people in the world, and I've just had a coffee with him. And he's, yeah.
That was Andre Beauchamp from.
I'm not saying it could have been. It could have not been.
Okay.
Yes,
I didn't think it was a big secret, but yeah, no, Andre told me that story too. Yeah.
He came up afterwards, and he just looked at Jim, and this was the best bit, and Andre knows it. That we got him back, so he's left Brian, he's left Sylvia, he's in a trance, he's just walking around. We got to Jim, and he sort of turned around and said, I says to Jim, you'll have to give Andre a moment. He's not quite himself at this minute in time. And he just turned around and, gone. And he just says, Jim, do you mind if I lick a piece of Alpha? And Jim just turned around and said, well, you can. He said, you can, but I'm not.
I want to interject. I want to interject a couple comments. So Chris said before, that's right. She never noticed, meaning Annie never noticed about Brian in regards to the credits, and not knowing that was him. And then he also interjected and said, I can remember someone coming then Eagle meet and not being able to talk, smiley face. And then he just said, yes, it was Andre.
He left the building.
He left the building.
It's the first time I've ever seen anybody starstruck.
Yeah.
And Andre was, and what a memory to have as well, and
it doesn't get more special. Yeah. There's something so naive and so special about those moments. And sadly, I don't, for me personally now, I mean, I'm so lit up hearing these stories because they're so warming and engaging. But as far as on a personal level, these things just don't happen anymore. It's like for me personally, it's like I've like met my heroes, him being one of them, and Brian, and then also Martin and Nick and just other cast members. And then
that's the beauty about it. I mean that's the extra beauty about it.
Yeah, right? And anybody that actually has that and has that happen to them now, it's so
sometimes you don't
special.
think you're going to meet your heroes.
Yeah,
Sometimes you
yeah,
think you'll never see them. And we always knew that about Brian. He was away from the limelight. Everybody thought we'd, never come across his person. And all of a sudden you're talking to him, you're having coffee with him and having a meal with him and all them
and
sorts of things.
something like that just stays with you then for like the rest of your life, and it's just moments like that you'll never forget. And it's
Yeah.
I wish stuff like that. I It makes me smile when I hear stories like this being conveyed by other folks. I guess that's and Warren, you'll probably agree with me on this one, that when we hear about folks that have never been to an event, or they've even never been on, if they can't go live to an event, they're on virtually and they're seeing folks for the first time,
Yeah.
and it just gives them that real warm feeling. I mean, it's something that's the other piece of it that's so special for us as fans, to see other fans have those special moments, and it's nice and to hear when that happens.
It is, Roy, and we were just talking a week ago that even in our sort of, I'm going to call it a sister show, where we do the episode reviews and try and involve a different fan each time, right?
Yep.
It's really nice to bring all these people together and to allow an outlet for people to share their love and passion for the series and the work that everybody did.
I think ASA helped a lot with that. Whenever we did shows,
and over
we
for
tried to
years
incorporate.
Yeah.
I always said that about ASA, to have that list of guys together, and if you wanted an answer, they're the guys that could probably give it you.
Yeah.
But we're all fans. We're all fans, and that, in a way, as silly as it is, that comes first, and that's like with the shows, Warren. We can sit down, we can have chats, we can have a breakfast, we can have a drink. But when you go to other shows, you're coming up for 4 hours. It's talk for 2 minutes and disappear. I think we're very, very, very lucky in what we've done, where it turns in it, and we've all said it's more family, but our shows are, because we're allowed those moments. We get those moments where we get that one-to-one, and we can talk to them about anything we wish, and etc. And I don't know that with any other shows.
Well,
I've done Star Wars
Gerald,
shows.
you and your family are big into Star Wars, and for a fact of the matter, if you go to a Showmasters event, it's like you're just a number in that crowd, right? Space events and Jerry Anderson, because I am even you could apply this to, I've seen recent UFO conventions that our friend Jim went to and things like that. Same idea, where it's a very close, intimate setting, and you've got one-on-one virtually with these people, and then for the entire weekend.
Yeah.
It's really amazing.
Sometimes I think shows can be too big, because sometimes you don't get a chance to have your moments. It's all right getting your autograph, but sometimes
they're all about the money. It's just a money grab for 30 seconds of fleeting time.
Yeah.
And I'm going to cross over with Star Trek. That's why a lot of like when I going up to Ticonderoga, going up there, it's a smaller event. It's more of a family type event. It's what happens is you get the MegaCon.
I think that's the words. It's less pressured, Roy.
Yeah.
It's less pressured.
Yep.
You're allowed to be yourself,
and
the guests are allowed to feel more comfortable. And I think that comes across. And everybody then starts. You start off then from a relaxed point of view, instead of in out. Who's in front of me? How long have I got? And that's sort of scenario. I mean, I got Brian on a show up here. We have a big Star Wars event. Neil lives here, and Paul they do Star Wars Family Fun Day every year. And we got Brian up to one of the events, and Ben had a wonderful time. And again, I will at that time. But again, Brian said, I'm here, are you coming over? So it was 20 minutes away. I've landed. This is about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah. So we went and had a coffee with him and had a moment with him and all that sort of thing. And that's what I love about our lot and our stars.
Well, you don't feel like you're in an assembly line, because I mean, one of the events Shari and I went to, and this was years ago. We saw Leonard Nimoy, and it was wonderful seeing him. I mean, he was so personable, and we saw people going into the room, and then when they were coming out, it was like they were just like in awe. It was almost like they saw the light out of the Guardian of Parade. That's how they were reacting. But when we went in, he was so welcoming and everything. However, and I get it, because you're talking big numbers. It's the people that were organizing the event, no, and I won't say any names, but it was just like, you know what, you're lucky if you had 10 seconds. It was like 10 seconds, boom, next. And I get that they have to funnel people in and they have to funnel people out because it is so big, but unfortunately that takes away from the whole moment. And Chris, and I'm gonna put up Chris's comments because he's sharing something, but he said it's personal. He said it's personal, and the guests prefer the interaction, and I totally agree with that.
And Chris
that's
knows, because
lost
when we were doing Draycott, we used to get Prentice at Draycott, and Eagle Meets Again. They've still continued. I ain't been able to get to a few of them. Chris has invited me now, Chris B. But Brian's been down. And other lads from ASA now are going as well, and they've had their moments with Brian.
Yep.
But more like natural than. Do you get what I mean? It's
totally.
It's and that's how it's been. We've been very lucky.
Chris also commented. He said, "I can remember a teenage girl at one of the Fanderson conventions queuing to get Jerry's autograph. When she got to the front and Jerry said hello, she burst into tears, ran away because she found it so overwhelming. Jerry said while smiling, it was the first time he had that effect on anyone." So
Nice.
That's a wonderful story to hear.
Yeah.
David commented.
So go on.
One last comment. David commented. He said the Anderson show fans seem to be more of a family. Cons are more like family reunions than a merchandise and autograph event. Fans and cast crew mixing casually. Yeah, I would totally agree about that, David. It's it's the autograph.
It's a really weird thing. Just sort of along them lines, it's a really weird thing, because whether we were doing shows or whether we were doing Draycott or we were down at Chris's, and it sounds awful to say it in a way, but the models of the costumes are secondary. It was all about seeing the guys, and we're going to have a good weekend. So the rules are in place. Everything's with the fortune. You've got to make sure it's safe and looked after and all them things. But it were more about, having a good weekend with the guys was more or less a bit more important than what we do sometimes, but that then helps you make sure you're getting it right for what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And that's what I mean about family. Yeah.
Real quick, May had a run before. She had to go back to work, so she said got to go back to work. She said she would catch us on the replay, so I just want to put that out there. May, thanks for joining us. You always come on, and we hope you enjoyed the show and catch us up a little later. Chris also commented to Daryl before when we were speaking. He said. And this is in regards to the chocolate factory. He said he called Sterling Road on the Slough Trading Estate the chocolate factory because the Mars Bar factory was in the next street.
When I was
chocolate.
Oh, when I was filming on Thunderbirds, right, all you could smell was caramel. It's all you could smell.
That's not a bad smell. I wish
it's not for an hour, but when you get it's a bit like the Vulcan bomber. When we were under Vulcan bomber, and they put this loop in, so it's hello, this is Captain Tobias, and we're flying 50,000 feet, and which is fine for the first half hour, but when you get to 15th time at about 4 o'clock, you're wearing a bit thin, and it's them sort of things, and Slow are a bit similar, But again, he got it. Ben, when he come down, he got a full tour around and had a good look. Toby with her. I think we were just on. We were doing the episode. Oh come on, stately home Bobbies. Yeah. So so we were. I was next to Thunderbird 4 tank. And that were a bit stagnant behind me, and then Ben just coming running down. But I'll tell you quickly there that was interesting. That the guy that made a puppet of him, the Asian comedian, I can't remember his name now, but he fetched his son round on the tour, So Toby's were working, and he just said, "Oh, keep your head down. There's people coming round." Right. So anyway, Stephen Louis fetched him past and taken him past, and we just said hello and that with that, and we carried on doing what we were doing. And then, funnily enough, about 20 minutes later, Toby just said, "Oh my God," he says, "keep your head down now." He said, "Big wigs were here," right? And I just looked up, and that's the point. I saw Brian with his arms open, running towards me, going, "Devil." And Toby gave me such a look. How do you so yeah, we had plenty of different sorts of moments with Brian,
Yeah.
but he loved what he saw in there. I think he loved that it would, how it was being done and how it was being and how it all were coming together and things. So, but I know he enjoyed it thoroughly.
That's
And then again, with funnily enough at the premiere, because Hilton turned around and said, "Oh, we've got to get dressed up tonight. We've got a bit, we've got soups and flutes." And we went there, and Brian was there. We saw Brian at fires. We got there, and everybody's got jeans and t-shirts on them. It's got these three-piece suits on with ties.
oh wow.
So yeah, yes, yeah. All these sorts of silly moments that just pop back into your head.
Yeah.
It's still really strange to think he's not there.
There was one other aspect or facet of interacting with Brian that just occurred to me as well, fellas, and I'm sure you guys can appreciate this, but it was so unique and special to me back in Peterborough. And that was the fact
Peterborough,
Peterborough, sorry.
Peterborough. Peterborough.
That was the fact that it was the first time I'd had the pleasure and the honor of not only interacting with an idol essentially, but it's the first time I met Brian's son Guy, and Guy was just an absolute sweetheart of a guy. and I remember Guy wandering through that vendor's room and just being in. So I think it must have been one of Guy's first events with Brian. He was just amazed at the fact that this show had lasted as long as it had, and he just couldn't believe it. Like he picked up a comic book and just started flipping through it, and he just loved it. He was just so in awe of the fact that his father was involved in this production from so many years ago, and we were all gathered to help celebrate.
I mean, we were around Guy. Sorry, I can't tell you really over at Blackpool and things that happened and stuff. But I finished up in the evening. Brian said, "Come and join us at hotel." So we were all ready, and then Brian had to switch hotels and do a bit of fuss going on. And he just rang me up and said, "Devil, can you help us?" Which we sort of got him sorted, but then Guy got him sorted properly. And they'd had a busy day, and it's come and join us. I think they were at Savoy at Blackpool. And we went to go for a meal. Anyway, 5 minutes later, we were just about to set off, and Brian rang me. He said, "Don't come." He says, "There's a comedian on, and he's not very funny." And he says, "Is there any word, Devil, you can take us that's quiet?" And I thought, where the hell can I take him that's quiet? I thought, I know, we'll head for Cleveless. So we headed up for Cleveless. And we went in this place, and we had about 3 or 4 hours with Brian and Guy. Guy loves football. So with Nicky. That way.
They hit it off.
So him and Guy hit it off, and they were talking about football for about 4 hours.
No.
The same when we took Guy and Brian.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's
But I saw Guy when we did the show in London.
In London, he was also
Guy
there.
with Brian, and I managed to get a chat with Brian and Guy. And he was sort of thanking me for looking after him and things like that, which were lovely. But
that's special though.
It is what it is. It's we look after him. We know we look after him, won't we? So, but he, funnily enough, that's just come to me. That's the last time I spoke to him.
London.
The guy at London. Yeah.
Oh well, Daryl, thank you for coming. Thank you for coming on. much appreciated, and thank you for sharing the stories. And it's always a pleasure to see you, and hope to see you soon.
Yeah, we'll be seeing you all soon. It's, what is it, 59 days and counting?
Not that you're counting, right?
Yeah, yeah. Everybody
Not
keeps
that I want
reminding
to be counting.
me. I know. Don't go there with me. I've done my jobs list is falling off till Christmas. So yeah, it'll have to be ready.
Hey, Daryl, do me a favor and try and hang in there for the end of the broadcast, because I've got something I'm going to premiere that I'm sure you will appreciate. Okay.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right.
So see you soon, guys.
Thank you so much. Good to see
Thanks,
you.
Daryl. Much
See you later,
appreciated.
guys.
Great
All
seeing
the
you.
best to Scotty, Nikki, and Diane.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. See you,
I
Chris, as well, and everybody. See you later, guys.
Talk to you
Bye,
soon.
Daryl. Thanks again.
Bye.
Oh, that was great. Chris commented, he said, you have to remember all these icons are real people and their lives aren't that different to anyone else. Absolutely, Chris. Very well said. They just find themselves in jobs we all aspire to. Yep. They prefer to be treated like real people as they find it more comfortable themselves. No.
And especially,
Totally
if
agree.
you're not over the top fanboying or fangirling, right? They really appreciate that, right?
Absolutely.
Because that's what's given, a lot of these. I mean, Roy and I, you and I are both all about Star Trek, but the nerdy stereotype from back in the 70s with people going to conventions, right?
Yeah.
It's because people were a little over the top. But again, space, this community is very well grounded. And
there
very
are, yeah.
So,
I would totally agree. And I think, and here's the thing: you're always going to have your folks that are going to be, you're going to have your one or two off folks that just, they react and they don't know. But I think overall, to your point, Warren, and I totally agree that everybody is really grounded and they know the line and they talk to people like they are human beings.
Yeah.
And I remember I think I've told this story on the show, but I remember the very first convention I went to, and I may have told you this story already too, Warren, it was in New Brunswick, New Jersey. It was back in 1986. And Mark Leonard was actually at that event. And what happened was I went to it. It was my first Star Trek convention, and it was small by comparison. It wasn't, it was by one of the names that have done Trek conventions, but it was a lower, smaller scale. Anyway, I was there. I was going there for just a couple of hours, and then I was going to leave. And I went into the elevator. And when I went into the elevator, it was Mark Leonard, and who played Sarek. For the folks out there, Spock's father on Journey to Babel in the original Star Trek series. And I did not want to be that fanboy, but I was just like in awe because here I was 20 years old. I had never, seen a celebrity in person like that. And then I just said, and he's looking at me and it's like, he knew that I knew who he was and what I was trying to do. And then I just said, hello. And then he said, hello. And then I said, how you doing today? And he goes, fine. And then I'm like, so you're going to be in the New York area for a while? And it's like, I didn't want to be that fan, but I was being that fan by trying not to be that fan, but I wasn't like crossing the line. And then he just kind of smiled and he said, yeah, I'm going to be, and then I just said to him, I said, will you, any chance of possibly getting an autograph from me? And then he just said that, he would be signing a little later, and I knew I was leaving, which I was. And I said, okay. And I said, I appreciate it. And I said, pleasure to meet you. And I kept it on that level, but I was that naive 20-year-old that was like, starstruck because, here was Mark Leonard and he was so cool about it. But
well, that's funny because I've never heard that story from you, Roy. My mirror story to that was the 1991 25th anniversary convention that I went to in LA that you wanted to go to. We talked about this.
Yeah.
And I met, so that my first experience was Grace Lee Whitney in the dealer's room. And I sat down beside her and I was just like because it was virtually the first time I'd ever met a celebrity as well. And it's, your first time out, right? I think it's normal to have that feeling, right? Of just you're in your brain is just not functioning. So, but she was very sweet too.
And it happens. I was I was a liaison with Phil Morris, for the folks out there who are Mission Impossible fans. Greg Morris and Phil Morris, who did the new Mission Impossible back in 1988 to 1990. They shot it in Australia, in fact.
Yeah.
And then, of course, he's been in Star Trek episodes as well, too. In fact, he was in the original series. But I was, transporting him and, taking him to the airport. And I was having a conversation with him. And I said, I'm going to be that fanboy. And I said, are you? And he was so cool. And he was just like, oh, you know what? He said, we got a couple hour ride. He said, yeah, go for it. You know what I mean? So I just asked him about, some questions about, the show and everything and how it was and what he remembered and everything. And then I asked him about Mission Impossible and stuff. But it's just that I think, and this is going back to what Chris just, had commented. If you do it with respect, and if you don't treat the folks like they're not regular human beings, which they are, it's totally cool, because they appreciate, let's face it, they, on a certain level, definitely, especially at an event, they appreciate being approached about stuff, because that's why they're at the event. I think where sometimes it can get a little strange is if you see somebody out and, they're having dinner with their family, and then you kind of, impose on them in that capacity. I think that's where, things can get a little crazy, but at these events, it's a little different. Claudia commented before. She said, I missed the conventions of yesteryear, more personal. I was disappointed to find out that most charged for autographs, taping, and things have definitely changed. It's in fact, I was saying about Mark Leonard at that event, he wasn't, it was just basically just signing autographs. But again, that was like 40 years ago. And it's so much has changed. And, with autographs too, what happens is folks get, if they don't get it personalized, what they'll do is they'll have them and then they'll sell them. And I think, there's just different dynamics that are involved. Chris commented, he said, Brian saw fans as slightly mad, which is why he was worried. But Cotsford was the first show he went to where he could see we were enthusiasts, but able to talk about normal things. And that's so important. Jenny said, fan brain is a thing. It's almost fight or flight mode. Yeah, absolutely. David said, I stayed away from Catherine Shell and Peterborough because I was so starstruck, too afraid to approach, but a bunch of us sat far away in the bar and kept whispering, change. Lots of laughs. Yeah. So awesome. No, that's great. But no, I think this is great as far as having everybody, comment. We really appreciate it. We try to make this fun, make this special. Before we start to wind down and just shift gears a little bit, just for one moment, we've been talking about Space 1999 conventions and everything, and there's a lot of stuff coming up. And as most of the folks out there know, Warren, information you want to share about the upcoming event, and just to put it under everybody's radar too, just about Manchester.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for sure. So I do have a couple things behind the scenes there, Roy, that you probably see. So there's two pictures. So there's one for Manchester, one for something else. Do you see them both?
Yep, I do.
Yep. So for Manchester, first off, and I'll only take 30 seconds or so, maybe 38 seconds. Things are coming along, and this is what I wanted to show Daryl. I just did this poster up this week. So we're really sort of shifting into high gear with a bunch of announcements throughout the month of July in regards to the exhibit room, and even some guest announcements. I will preface and say that there is a mystery guest still coming. We've maybe had to delay for a few days here. I know I said it, sort of hinted it might be today. We'll circle back to that in a week or two for anybody out there wondering. No big deal. This is, our friend Daryl Simmons, with all the wonderful work he did on the Eagle 6 cockpit and build, Roy, as you know. This is one of Daryl's prized possessions, and it's the original radar tower from Force of Life. So cool. This is just one of many, many different original props that will be on display in Manchester this year. In September, in, as Daryl said, 59 days or less. And I just really wanted to highlight this piece, and there'll be some other announcements regarding some other pieces throughout the month for everybody to enjoy and glean a sense of what's going to be on display. I love this shot just because I was able to incorporate it with an actual screen grab from the show.
Yep.
yeah, it's the other
And I
thing
can see why that's a prized possession of Daryl's. I mean,
absolutely
that
so
got,
iconic, hey?
oh yeah, it got such a nice. It was photographed so brilliantly, and it stands out in the beginning. The episode is as that energy force is passing, and we get to see it. And yeah, it's and again, this is what's so wonderful about these items being shared by folks like Daryl. I mean, so gracious, and it's just where else. Yes, in some areas you might see things from different shows and different venues, but of different genres. But this is what is so impressive, and with the Space 1999 community, and talking about Peterborough in 2014, I mean, being there for that and seeing the amazing things that were on display, and just being able to relate to them, and everybody knowing what they were, it was just like it was very surreal. So this is going to be another incredible thing that's going to be happening with this event in Manchester. Sorry, Warren, go ahead.
No, you summed it up perfectly. So, but the other thing, just to give people a heads up, we're going to be dropping some announcements for the remainder of July in regards to, we've been saying all along as well, we're going to sort of open up the exhibit room to other Jerry and Sylvia Anderson properties. So you're going to see not only original pieces from space, but from UFO, from Joe 90, Space Precinct, Terrahawks, all the Super Mario Nation series. So we're going a little larger this time out, and hoping to get the word out there in the next few weeks of all the amazing, like Roy. I'm not sure, Roy. Like, were you a big fan of the puppet series, the Super Mario Nation series yourself, or?
Me personally, back in the day, no, I was not. I mean,
and neither was I. They didn't play it a lot in Canada.
They didn't. They didn't play in my area. That was probably the reason, or else I probably would have been. But I wasn't exposed to it. I was aware of it later on in the 70s because of space and everything, and all the information that was presented. But they were not shown, and I just was not exposed to it. So no.
But long story short, one of the things that's going to be on display are a number of the original puppets, and I've never seen them face to face myself, but I'm really looking forward to it, because you have to be able to appreciate the level of artistic
detail.
Yes, and just the value of these things. They're cherished to this day, and there was even a funny story going back to London where I carried over one of the original puppets on the plane with me, and it ran through the X-ray machine, and the security guards there were quite stunned when the image came through. So, but that's for another time. But no, we're going to have all of these original pieces on display for everybody to enjoy. So do me a favor and help us. Anybody else out there, help us get the word when you start seeing these posters drop on any of the Thunderbirds pages, Terrahawks, Space Precinct, anything to do with Jerry and Sylvia, just to help us get the word out there. Okay.
Very cool. Thanks for sharing that, Warren. And I just wanted to post a couple comments. Marianne is joining us. Welcome, Marianne. She said, hi, sorry I'm late. I have company with my daughters over. No worries, Marianne. Thanks for being out there. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. Alan is commenting. Hi, Alan. He said, I love Peterborough. I could only go for one day, but being in the room with all the stars and so many of the actual props, I felt a bit dizzy. Lots of laughs. And Jenny said, amazing news, Warren. Yeah, definitely is. And Don's commenting. He said, side note in reference to your t-shirt, though I'm not sure you're aware, they're finally letting some of those unreleased Prince songs out of the vault this August.
Don, I love it. I tell you, I mean, if you're a fan of his work, boy, and you want to talk about a library of work, like in his lifetime, his official albums don't even scratch the surface. He was a workaholic, and just I can't say enough. I mean, he was self-taught. He played over 30 instruments himself, and he was just a powerhouse in the industry. But thanks for that.
Brian commented, we were born to watch all Jerry Anderson shows here in the UK. Lots of laughs. Dennis Chevalier, welcome, Dennis. I saw you commented you were out there before. Thanks for being out there. He said, LLAP. Everyone, great show and tribute to Brian. Thank you, Dennis. We really appreciate that. Also, I see that Stephen Reeder is out there. I'm going to bring him on just for a couple minutes. Stephen, thanks for being out there and welcome. So just wanted to make sure you got in there. I saw you sneak in there. So welcome. Thanks.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I was just so excited when you guys were talking about all the conventions. going back that I was back at those very first 4
You were at the very
conventions.
first one.
Yeah, that's so
Yeah.
awesome.
Oh, it was so great too. And I've discovered a few more photos from back then of um, that I'm trying to get scanned and stuff. So, but yeah, no, the conventions are great just because it is one big family. And everyone is so just would love to sit down with you. Like I mentioned earlier, Brian invited me behind the table and sit down and have a conversation with him. That was at a Blackpool convention that was just way overblown. They were getting together a bunch of the models from Space 1999, and then at the last minute, they pulled that exhibit. So that wasn't shown up there, but I was very lucky that um, Jim Winch, invited me to his house to see all of those models. So again, just the family that is created from that, and getting to hold those models. I even had the Dragon's Domain model and the Ultra Probe docking together.
Yeah.
The original models. It was so cool.
Yeah.
But
I
that's
think
one of the great.
Stephen, weren't some of those photos? Did you post some of those photos? Because these sound familiar. I think I saw you doing that, and I was wondering where that was at. So no, and again, like just like Daryl is wonderful. Chris Trice, James Winch, another person. Just
Andrew Frampton.
Andrew Frampton. I mean, everyone in the community
Martin Willie.
Martin Willie. I mean, the list goes on, but they're amazing people. And to hear, you sharing this story, we much appreciate it because it's just another aspect of it, and it just holds so true.
Well, it was I was boarding my flight to England when they announced that it was not going to happen anymore, that they were not bringing the models to that place. So other friends, other people I knew started reaching out to Jim, and then Jim reached out to me by the time I landed and invited me to his house to see all the models he'd gotten together. So everyone pulled together to get me in on that. That was so fantastic. And yeah, all those occasions of getting to meet everyone back in those early days when the cons were more of a family event.
Yep.
And that one at Blackpool was just a nightmare. It was way too big, and I think that's probably why they pulled the models at the last minute. But yeah, no, just so many fantastic people out there. Hi, everyone. If I met you along the way.
And for anybody unaware, Stephen, our good friend, provided virtually every single piece in the exhibit room last year in Los Angeles, single-handedly, together with a very good crew again of fellows and volunteers. But loaded up, rented a big cargo van from, where are you from? San
Francisco. Yeah.
That was an amazing display that you brought, and it was pretty incredible. So
50 years of collecting. I mean, some of those models go back to I've been lugging around since I was a kid. Some haven't made it over the years, and I've tried to replace those as I've gone along. But yeah, I just such an ego obsession. I've got such an ego obsession. But yeah, it's just. The people that you got to meet, the actors and actresses from the series, were just so incredible. And those I didn't get to meet, I wish I'd met Barry. I wish I'd met Xena. But all of them were fantastic. There was one time at that very first convention, there was a piano in the hall. And I was taking piano lessons at the time, so I decided to sit down and start playing on the piano some of my songs. And up next to me sits down Mr. Barry Gray.
Barry Gray.
Yep, sat down next to me, and he's like, "Oh yeah, let me play with you a little bit." I'm like, and I was starstruck.
Yeah,
I was like,
that was your moment.
Okay, and he did a little bit. I'm like, "Why don't you play?" I got up and walked away. I mean, I was 14, or not even 14.
Wow,
12 years old, I think, at the time.
That's something you'll never ever forget. Wow.
Oh no. Yeah, it was great. And now these conventions coming full circle with the same heart that we had back then.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is a little different world, as Roy had said. I mean, unfortunately nowadays, or in relation to Claudia's comment, I mean, even at our events, people do charge for autographs, right? But we held out for the longest time, because I do remember Peterborough, being the first time that anybody charged, and that was only 2014. So we did fairly well, overall. But nowadays it's like, and especially as these people are just so gracious to come, it isn't so much about the money, but it's nice to be able to give them something, offer them something for their time, right? To travel all that way and to spend the weekend with us, right?
Yeah. Where was it we all met in Burbank? What year was that?
That was
2012.
2012.
2012.
Yeah.
Whoa.
14 years ago.
And there was no charge. No charge for autographs. I remember.
Yep.
Barbara Bain signed for free. Yep.
Nick did too, and people were getting. Yeah, you got a limit of 2 items eventually because everyone was bringing so much stuff.
Right.
But and then we never did get Martin Landau showed up, but he wasn't doing any autographs.
Right. He did a Q&A, and I think he was so last minute. It was, well, we got an hour. Should we do autographs or do a Q&A? And yeah.
I still have
we were so fortunate that he came.
Yeah.
In fact, I had handed him the invite. Rosie had put it together, and it was because he was at Chiller. He was at the Chiller Theater Convention in New Jersey, and in fact, every now and then I'll post some of the photos from that, and him looking over at the proposal and everything. But just the invite to come out, and then unfortunately, because he was actually supposed to be at the '99 event back in Los Angeles, but unfortunately it didn't work out. And then he was going to be, I think there was talk about him being in New York City in 2000. That didn't work out. And then with 12, that was like the next best thing for, the space fans. And then that almost didn't happen, but then it didn't at the end. So that was, we were very fortunate.
Yeah.
I worked in the film festival industry for a number of years, and I remember one time I got a phone call from one of my programmers. He's like, "I am here having dinner with Martin Landau right now. Can you get down here?" And I was like, I couldn't get there. I wanted to go so bad. This was here in San Francisco, but I still have the original autograph from that first convention, which got water damaged. That's how I lost some of my collection, was in a water explosion at my house. It was like 4 years ago. But I wish that big binder, those big publicity
the
promo books that I had everyone sign. Oh, I so wish I'd gotten Martin to sign that. But
funny story about that. I have the promo book, and I went to, there was a convention that was taking place in New Jersey. It was called Saturday Nightmares, and he was literally an hour up the road, and it was in 2011, and I can't believe that was 15 years ago already. And what happened was I was ecstatic, and I was hoping that he wasn't going to cancel. And it was like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I went every day, and I went with my stuff, and just to get the autographs. And 2 stories. One was that I had the promo book to show to him, not to sign, but to show to him. And he's opening it up and he's looking at it. And then he pulls out the pen. And then I'm thinking in the back of my mind, oh my God, do I say no to Martin Landau to sign it? Because my intention was for him not to sign it, just to show it to him. And it was like a split decision. And I said, let it go. And I let him. And then what happened was, to your point about Barbara, when she was in Burbank in 2012, I had two items, because like you said, there were 2 items, and I had the one that was the photo with everyone outside of the Eagle from Matter of Life and Death, and she was the one person that had not signed it, and I got her to sign it. And then the other item was the promo book, but unfortunately Barry, I didn't have him sign that. So, but
I've got both the first season, second season, 2 copies of each. One of the copies I have is the Canadian promo book.
I saw it last year. I'd love to get one of those with the CBC logo on the back.
Yeah,
we auctioned one off at that auction last year too. But
I was
we're from Canada, but
I was tied up.
Yes, you were quite busy. I was just like, well, I've got these extra copies. I might as well just dedicate one set to getting autographs. So I've chosen each year, anyone that was in season 1 signed that one. Season 2, they signed this one. Problem is, I should have had them sign their characters' names, because now I'm starting to look at it, I'm like, who's that? I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have to get the list of all the people that were at the conventions and make a little sheet up so I know who signed what. Page 4, signed by So and so. Anyway,
It's one of the
so
sacrifices. Both Roy and I were quite busy that weekend, but you know what? When it comes to collecting in general, guys, I've learned to. I mean, because I used to have the bug, but I'm comfortable at this point in my life knowing that it's always going to come around again. There's always
Yeah.
going to be another opportunity, right? I mean, Stephen, you know how hard it was for me to part with a couple of scripts a couple of years ago in London. But you know what?
yeah,
I passed them along, and I said I know they're going to go to a good home. And I think I also built in a clause there that if you ever decide them, I get first dibs, right?
well, Roy made the same deal with me on
Is that
Script of
right?
Barbara.
That's
So,
why I'm sipping my drink, 'cause, yeah,
That's hilarious.
and I've been meaning to put a little note in the back of those scripts saying this is first offer to Warren or
Well,
Roy.
you know what? You better put this in writing somewhere, like in case
Yeah.
you have an unfortunate demise, so that we know where everything's supposed to go.
Yep. I actually have a couple of two scripts that were from the property of Brian Johnson himself.
Yeah,
wow.
They were signed by Barbara, but so I'm gonna bring as many of those scripts with me as I can, so we can collect some more
some more.
autographs on those. I
Yeah.
wish Catherine was on the Metamorph one, but
Um,
yeah, I bought those scripts from you right after the convention, so it was like, darn, I missed it. But
Oh well. Roy, how you doing on time?
yeah, we're gonna have to start to wind down. But no, Stephen, I'm glad I saw that you were out there. Thanks for coming on to share, your memories and stories. It's very much appreciated, and thank you to everyone too that sharing their stories virtually as well too. I know sometimes it's tough to come online, and but I think this worked out really well. And again, huge thank you to Daryl as well too. Always love speaking with him, and then hearing his stories, and it's just great to see everybody. Because Stephen, we haven't seen well, all of us, we haven't seen each other since last year, in Burbank, and then also then with Daryl, it wasn't since London. So it's crazy. The time just goes by, and it's like it's 1 year, and then it's 2 years, and then it's 12 years, it's 14 years, it's 40 years,
50 years from
50
that
years.
Yeah. But I hope everyone really appreciated us talking about the conventions, which means you need to go buy a ticket. You need to come to Manchester. This is an incredible event, and it may be the last one.
Love it. You know what? Never say never.
Never
Yeah.
say never.
Stephen, you're absolutely right. I went into this one, and I had a fun little thing calling it the last sunset, and people immediately took that the wrong way.
Yeah.
All I was saying is that it's going to be my last convention
Yeah.
as an organizer or event planner, for sure. So that one, but there's nothing saying somebody else couldn't pick up the reins after that. But you know what? It's sad to put it in those terms, but yeah, we're all getting older, right? I mean, and not only Brian, but look at sadly who we've lost in the last couple of years with Prentice and Clifton.
Yeah.
So much has changed since London. There's so many wonderful things that we were able to pull off together as a team for London, and thank goodness, right? Because those will be very, very special, precious memories for many, many years.
How many guest stars did we have in London?
A lot.
There was, yeah. What was that head count? It was like 15, 16 stars,
I
something
think it
like
was
that.
higher. I think it was actually higher than that. But
I think
It was pushing 30.
yeah,
30.
It
Oh
was
my
pretty, it was a
God.
lot. Yeah. Yeah, I'm on record for saying, that was all Warren. I mean, you pulled it off, Warren.
Yeah.
There, folks. All I can say is, and everybody's got their things that they do, but there was a lot. I mean, doing these things is not easy. I mean, it's not, and anybody that has done them will tell you so. Anybody who's been involved in them will tell you so. It's just it's a lot of moving parts, and there's a lot of things that happen before the event, and that's yeah.
And Warren, would you be pulling that off? I mean, you had help, but you really were the driving force for all
you
5 years now, right? Ever since you're Canadian.
We did a small one in 23 and just sort of rolled that over, right? But that was more about just testing the waters again because of everything that happened with the pandemic, right?
Right.
and it was Roy and I and Bob Wood that came up with the impetus for the virtual events, right? That we spun things into for a couple of years running, and we had so much success with that. Then it was, the world's opening them back up, so we did that small one, called it a Relaxicon. And then we got into London, because that was the original plan, Roy, if you recall, that we announced a London event way back in 2019 at your event, right? So, but you know what, it was I'm just so grateful the way things played out and panned out, guys, because I mean, we took everything that we learned from the virtual perspective and we rolled it into those live events as well. We did some amazing things like the simulcast last year between Los Angeles and Italy, right? And all the stars and celebrities were just so on point with jumping on these calls, even for the shows that Roy and I do, right? And the YouTube channels now, and Roy's Tie-Dye, and everything is just, there's been a wonderful payoff to all of our hard work, and we all do this because we love it, and it's sorry,
we've got an unknown force watching over us.
We really do. And you know what? And the only other thing I was going to say, and I know we're coming up on 2 hours, Roy, I just wanted to spin it back to Brian for 30 seconds if I could.
Please.
Because you know what, guys? And I think he was really pleased. The last 20, 25 years when Daryl was on, he was saying that Brian for many, many years didn't go out to events, right? But I think towards the end of his life, he was really, really just so pleased and humbled to see the resurgence in Space 1999 and the Eagle. And I want to just say that with all of the Eagle releases, the 1612s, right? And he got involved with signing a bunch of pieces for those, with the round 2 kits coming out, all this new resurgence and interest to do with not only the show but the Eagle Transporter, I think, was one thing. And then I just wanted to say that the way that led into his involvement even with Jeffrey's documentary.
I was just going to say the Eagle obsession with everything. Absolutely. I mean, he was, Jeffrey, met with him, talked with him, had him at the, Pinewood, and just his involvement, and did you think he'd be here 50 years later?
Absolutely. Yeah.
No, it all ties in, and in fact, in regards to the Eagle obsession, Jeffrey will be at the event.
Jeffrey's coming. Yep. So he's going to be premiering not only Eagle Obsession, but a new one, more of a fan-centric documentary as well, called Beyond the Eagle Obsession, which Brian is a part of again. And just lastly here to sum up, and there's another graphic there, Roy, and if you could just pull that up for a second, and I'll just sort of touch on the fact that this was something that I put together back in April. And as everybody out there knows, or a lot of you know, we ran that massive campaign throughout the month of April for the Kickstarter for this little project called Return to Moonbase Alpha. And we, in full transparency, we told everybody we had sent out invites to Nick Alder, Brian, and Martin Bauer, right, to see if any of them would like to take part in this or would endorse the project in any way. We did end up announcing Nick Alder as officially being on board. In Brian's case, just, in full transparency for everybody out there, Brian did respond. But we decided behind the scenes to maybe hold off on that announcement officially. There was a couple of factors and reasons to it. And I think one, sadly enough, is that I think a number of us were really hoping that maybe we could invite Brian to the visual effects shoot.
Yeah.
And what a glorious way to involve him. But he was, for just so everybody knows, he was aware of the project, and he was just unbelievably supportive. He just loved it, and because we said, I mean, the mandate here is to honor and respect all of the work you did, and practical and using the originals, and he just loved it. I spoke with him on the phone in April, and it was really nice to touch base, because I hadn't spoken to him since London, and he was. There's a couple other members of the team who were very close to Brian as well. I'm not going to name any names, but there'll be more following up on the fact that Brian was really, he was, is, and always will be a part of this team that we're bringing together for Return to Moonbase Alpha.
Yeah. And that's wonderful information to be shared with the fans. So thank you for that, Warren.
No, thank you. Thank you for everything, Roy.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm going to try to share a photo that Chris Trice just sent to me, and I'm struggling with my computer today, folks. So I appreciate the.
I see the comment now. Yeah, check your PMs.
Yeah. So I appreciate everybody's patience. So I think I've got it. So let's see if this works. Hold on one second, and it's a great photo. So just bear with me one moment. Well, I try to bring it up here and see if this is going to work.
Stephen, by the way, before I let you go and we all jump off here today, I wanted to say, well, maybe I should say this like the moment we disconnect, but the three of us, you, me, and Roy, might be roommates in Manchester. We'll see.
Okay. I know where the late night parties are going to be happening.
There you go. All righty. Yeah. Thank you so much, Chris, for sharing this. What an awesome photo.
Oh yeah, there you go. Isn't that great?
Yep. Brian right in the center seat.
Yeah, he's just so proud. Just so proud, hey?
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for showing that. Marianne just commented, he said, love his work. I wanted to have an eagle tattooed, but too much detail, lots of laughs, and it'll hurt. So I got the word Eagle One tattooed. Oh, that's so cool.
Oh, cool.
Thanks for sharing, Marianne.
That's awesome.
So
I was actually going to get custom plates made for my car that said Eagle 12. Anyway, I never did do that.
Yeah, there's a lot of folks that do have those. So, but yeah, in fact, you know what? It was in the what was it? I think wasn't it in Spaceballs that the eagle was in. There was an eagle reference. Was it a license plate or was it the eagle itself, or it was the license plate said Eagle One?
Yep, Eagle One.
Yep.
Yeah, on that.
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
Was it on the Winnebago?
Yep.
Yes, on Lone Star's ship. Yeah.
I remember seeing that in '87, and I was like, yes.
I forget. Wasn't there some model bits on the big spaceship from the Eagle? Model
probably.
Kit?
Yeah. Kit bashing was all the rage.
Yeah.
The famous one is Star Crash. There was
Star Crash. Yeah.
Unmistakably, there's an Eagle command module right in front of you, right? It's not even subtle.
No, nothing subtle about that.
It's funny when you see those things kind of pop up and you jump out of your seat. I'll never forget. I saw what was the movie? I forget the name of a famous book. I can't think of the name of it.
Who's in it?
I heard Nick Tate was driving a taxi in this movie, and
really?
You didn't see him, but you heard his voice. And as I heard that, I was like, "Wait, is that?" And all of a sudden, after he was talking with the character in the back, he turned around in the front seat, and there was Nick Tate driving. I was like, I recognize that voice right off.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I don't know. I can't think of the name of it. Someone may chime in and say what the name of the movie is within the next couple minutes before we sign off.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. Let us know, folks. Just post it out there. David said, Christian Anhall and John Hugg are enough to get me to Manchester. Yeah. Both. So Christian, so down to earth, so nice. John, same. It's such a pleasure to meet. I had the pleasure of first meeting John in 2000 in New York City. And I was so happy to hear that he's going to be coming back. Alan commented, he said, I got my Fanderson season 1 soundtrack CD signed by Nick, Prentice, Catherine, and Anton. Very, very cool.
Very nice.
Yep. Those soundtracks are very cool too.
They're cool. They're great. Oh my God. Every single song ever played in either series is on there.
I know. Yep. And so much respect for Tim Mallett, who undertook that entire project and just knocked it out of the park.
Yeah. He it's
going in, getting the original recordings. And I know we all wish that we could go into the archives of the films and see if there's any lost footage of Space 1999.
I keep talking about that, and I keep hoping that somewhere.
It's only, guys, with everything we did with Breakaway, it's only a couple years away. AI will be so good in a couple years.
Yeah, I know.
That we'll be able to do it.
So true. Marianne, Marianne said, thank you for the excellent tribute to Brian. Thank you so much, Marianne, and have a great evening, everyone, until Friday. Much appreciated. Thank you so much, Marianne. And Alan said, wasn't it Meryl Streep film? Oh, it could have been. No, but I think he was. I think he was a lawyer. He was an attorney in that Meryl Streep film, and I can't think of the name of it because Nick told the story about that.
It's about it takes place in the 1930s. It's a famous book. What's his name? The star of Titanic.
Oh, Leonardo DiCaprio.
He played the lead character in this movie. He's the one that was in the back seat.
Gotcha. Cry in the Dark is the one Alan was talking about. No, it wasn't A Cry in the Dark. We'll have to find that out. We'll have to look into that.
I'm terrible with names. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. It's okay. No worries. Warren, was there any other announcements or anything else you wanted to share?
I'm good. Thank you for the
absolutely,
there, guys. Yeah.
All righty. Well, Stephen, thank you for coming on. Much appreciated. Again, great to see you. Looking forward to seeing you in the near future. And so I'm just going to do a quick jump to my shout outs because I don't want to hold folks up, but I'm just going to do this really quickly. And plus my computer is not working so well, but
Great
anyway.
Gatsby. Great Gatsby.
Oh,
that's it.
Gatsby. Nick was in
Thank
that.
you.
Alan had it in the comments. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thanks for sharing, Alan.
Just to hear that voice in the taxi cab, I was like, wait. Yeah.
So just to give a shout out to our friends Mike and Mary Beth at Sci-Fi Distilled. They will be on Wednesday, July 15th, 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Mike does not know what they're going to be doing yet, so stay tuned. They broadcast on YouTube and also on Facebook. Also, a shout out to Captain Phil's Planet, 90.1 FM, Stony Brook, New York. The captain's schedule is on Thursdays at 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. He's also on Friday nights from 10 to 11:30. Except on the fourth Friday of the month. And let's see. Also want to give a shout out to. Hold on one second, folks.
Hey, to Captain Phil. What a great guy.
Captain Phil, yeah, he is. Want to give I don't have a slide. The slide is out, but a comment. Shout out to Country Gate Players in Belvedere, New Jersey. If you are in the New Jersey Belvedere area, definitely check out Country Gate's production. They're going to be doing Addams Family, and this is going to be a children's show. But this is something that Bill works with the youth during the summer, and they're working to be putting this on. For website information and address information, you can go to www.countrygate.org. Also, Bill does a website that he has, which is www.billscarrata.com for information about things that are upcoming for him as well. And then also want to give a shout out to my partner in crime, who is Mr. Ross Amica. Ross is my permanent co-host on the show. And Ross is Ross and I will be back not this coming week because he's going to be tied up, but we will be back in the near future. So, but if you have the opportunity to listen to Ross's shows, he does a few shows on the internet. It's on the radio, but it's live internet. And let me bring that slide up as I'm attempting. Like I said, I'm having major.
That's okay. Stephen and I will walk you through it. Don't worry. We're here for you.
Did you try restarting your computer?
Yeah, you guys got my back.
I should have, you know what? Somebody said earlier in the comments about Ross, and I should have put a background of a wall of CDs behind me, and I could have been his doppelganger.
Ross, when it comes to music, Ross is amazing, especially classical music. I mean, his collection is, as Warren is talking about, is just amazing. It's just like a vault, and it goes on and on and on and on. But
have you ever talked to Ross about Barry Gray's work on space? I'm sure you have.
It's definitely come up. We've definitely talked about it because we actually discussed. I think we did the Black Sun. I think that was one of the episodes we did together.
Yeah.
So it definitely came up. In regards to Ross's shows, though, he does 3 shows. Picture Perfect, which is on Friday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, He also has two Saturday shows. One is Sweetness and Light, which is on its Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and then The Lost Chord, which is Saturdays 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And you can tune into these shows by going to the URL. It is kwax.uoregon.edu. So if you have never checked it out, definitely check it out. Like I said, Ross does an amazing job. And yeah, but we will be back sometime in the near future. It will not be this coming weekend, but I will be posting a couple of videos and just doing some stuff during the week as well, too, just to, put us out there. But just catching up on some of the last minute comments. Jeff Rubel, thank you so much, Jeff. And Jeff, I'll be coordinating with you. Yeah, Chris Trice says Great Gatsby. Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Brian. Glad you enjoyed the show. And hey, Nick McCarty's out there. Welcome, Nick.
Hey,
thanks. Nick. You can definitely catch us on the replay. But anyway, thank you, everybody. And hope everyone has a wonderful week as we enter the we're actually at July 12th right now, which is incredible. We are coming into the mid-July of 2026, which is just blows me away. I mean, we are in the second half of the year. And as Daryl said, 59 days away from the convention. So there you go. Anyways, I always like to say, live long and prosper, folks. And thanks for tuning in. And we'll see you next time.
You bet. Thanks, everyone.
Take care.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.